Hey guys, Dustin Heiner here with Master Passive Income, and I want to show you what it is to be rich versus what it is being wealthy. And what you think about the difference between rich versus wealthy is a lot of people think rich is probably better than being wealthy. But what's in reality is it's not always the case. In fact, it might be the opposite a lot of times. Now, when you think of what rich is basically people have a lot of money, but then at the same time, they spend a lot of money. And it could also be that they make just enough money to afford their lifestyle. And so what happens with rich people, they make money, they spend money. Not necessarily they have to spend money, but they make a lot of money. A wealthy person has assets that makes them money and it provides them wealth as well as equity. I'll give you an example. If you buy an asset as a house, if you own a house and you have it as a rental property, and so you're making money every single month, but you also have equity in the property. So however much you owe on the property versus how much it's worth, let's say you owe $100,000 on the property, but it's worth $150,000. Well, you have $50,000 in equity. That's an asset that's in your pocket, basically, so that in the future, you can do with it whatever you want. And so that one asset, it will keep working for you no matter what. And that's something called passive income. Now, being rich, let's say, for instance, a lawyer. Let's say a lawyer makes $300,000 a year. Now, they are definitely rich. By most people's standards, that would be a rich person. Now, a rich person will be making a lot of money. But the downside about that is if you stop working, if you stop being a lawyer, if you stop going to court or doing what lawyers do, if you stop that, you're going to stop making money and eventually your money will run out. Now, the benefit about having assets is the asset works for you, just like rental properties, just like if you write a best-selling song, if you write a book that people love to buy and read over and over again, if you have a podcast that you have affiliate sales and ads and things like that. There's so many different ways for passive income, but if you have assets, if you are wealthy, you're going to have assets that provide you money even when you don't work. Now, here's another little difference between rich versus somebody that's wealthy. Somebody that's wealthy would have maybe just, like, look at me, I'm just wearing a hoodie. I wear just a regular t-shirt underneath. I think it's like a grunt style shirt. I like grunt style shirts. And it's just a hoodie. I'm wearing jeans right now, but you wouldn't know that I have a good amount of money. Praise the Lord, I'm blessed to have rental properties. I have 30 plus properties. We have cash in the bank. We really don't have to worry about, I own my house and everything's great. But I have one car. I was driving my 2007 Honda Odyssey until it literally broke. And then I finally bought a new car because it finally broke and I had to buy a new car. But I bought like a 2-year-old car, paid like $10,000 less than it was worth because I found a good deal and negotiated. And so I live in a 1,250 square foot house. And the reason why I do that is because it was a rental property. We wanted to move out of California and move into Arizona, which we did. Our house was in California, sold that, and then moved into Arizona where one of our property was. And it's a 1,250 square foot house. Now, I'm not trying to say that because you're wealthy, you don't live like, really wealthy. I just choose to be frugal. That's just how I am. But I have plenty of money. But here's the interesting thing. A lot of the people that you would normally see that just seems like a normal everyday person is probably or can possibly be wealthy or have maybe like $100,000 in cash or $500,000 in equity or assets that they have that they actually own, or even $1 million or $2 million in assets that make them money. If they have businesses, that's also an asset. Real estate's assets. So all these things that wealthy people have, they don't necessarily flaunt it. Now, some do, don't get me wrong. Some absolutely do. But the difference between somebody being wealthy and somebody being rich would be somebody that makes a lot of money, but then possibly does spend a lot of money. Now, they look rich, they seem rich, they act rich, they go and spend, $10,000 on a new pair of shoes or a ring, or like once a month, they get the best clothing. They get the best designer bags and shoes and cars. They buy brand new cars. They have way more than they probably need in like total things. But they like that sort of stuff, which is totally fine because their income can't afford that. Now, some people go into debt. Now, if you are going into debt with that lifestyle, you're not rich, in my opinion. But if you're making a lot of money, but you're also spending it. Or if you're making a lot of money and you're not spending it, you're just holding on to that, you are going from rich. So if you're holding on to that money, you're going from rich to actually being wealthy if you're holding on to that money. Rich people tend to spend that money. Wealthy people take that money, save it, invest that money into something like real estate. See, I always show all of my students how to invest in rental properties by making $250 or more on every single property that they buy. So let's say they put $15,000 down on a house and they have the mortgage payment, then they have the expenses and all, property taxes and all that sort of stuff. Well, that's all the expenses. Well, your income is your rent. So your rent minus your expenses, that difference right there is your passive income. And so a rich person would take that money that they're saving. If they're not spending it, they'd save that money up. And then they would use that money to then buy an asset. And that's when they become wealthy, because that asset works for them. Just like I said, a business works for them. Real estate works for them. Stocks and bonds and other types of investments like that, that works for them. They save their money, so they stop just being rich and they become wealthy. Now, here's one that's really interesting. Somebody who is wealthy can also be rich. Most likely are both. If you're wealthy, you're more than likely rich in everybody's standards. But if you're rich, you're not necessarily wealthy. Wealth comes from assets. Because remember, if you stop working that job, if you are a lawyer and you stop working, then you don't make money, then everything gets taken away if you haven't paid for it. Even if you own a house, let's say you worked really, really hard. You paid off your house and you don't have a mortgage on it. You literally don't owe anything on it, but you lose your job. You lose every bit of ability to make money. The government's going to come and say, hey, you owe us taxes. Not just you don't owe a mortgage, but you still owe taxes. You have taxes plus insurance on top of that. And so if you stop making money, the government's going to take that asset away or that house away from you. So what's interesting on top of that is wealthy people leave legacies. Rich people don't necessarily leave a legacy because they make their money and then they spend their money right away. A wealthy person will leave their legacy, leave what they have in assets on to their children, to their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. All of the 30 plus properties that I currently own, I will literally give them to my kids. Now, I will say that I'm not going to let them to be spoiled brats like some rich people can, rich kids and wealthy kids can actually become spoiled brats just because they, They just are given too much, and in my opinion, they're given too much. They're not taught how to work for it. They're not taught how to save and not taught how to be frugal. I'm working really hard with my kids to help them to be frugal. Like we'll be driving home from church, and we've gone to restaurants before on the way home from church, and one of my daughters would say, hey, Daddy, can we go to this restaurant? I'll be like, no, that's expensive. We don't have the money right now to pay for it. Well, we literally have the money, but right now I just don't want to spend it. So I don't have the money to pay for it. So we go home and we eat at home. We tell them, we have so much food at home. We're blessed to have so much food. Let's just eat the food at home. We don't need to keep spending money. And because every time we spend money, that's less money out of our pocket that we can invest. Now, what I'm also doing with my kids is I have that bank account for them that has a savings rate with it. And so every money that goes in, every bit of money goes in, they get interest on it. And every single month they say, hey, Daddy, can we look to see how much money we made? And it's like, okay, look, Ellie, you made 34 cents. Elias, you made, 42 cents or whatever, and go on down the list. And they're excited about saving. And so just recently they were so whenever they do a workbook in their math or history or something like that, because we homeschool, we want to reward them just like they're working. I don't see why you shouldn't reward them. I personally think they work harder. They work better when I reward them. So every workbook that they get, and they get like 4 or 5 a semester. So every year they get about 10 total different workbooks, maybe 12. I give them $10 when they finish it. So if they finish it faster, like good for you. That's piecework. Well, if you're in construction, that's called piecework. You have X job to do. If you do it in 10 hours, you get paid the same rate if you do it 2 hours. So that's what I'm working with them. I'm showing them that they can actually make money even faster if they get stuff done. So I'm paying them $10, and my daughter had, after splitting out, so 10% goes to God, 20% goes to mommy for responsibilities, because we all have responsibilities for lighting and food and our roof over our heads and all that sort of stuff. 50% goes into savings, and then the rest of the 20% goes into their pockets so they could spend. My older daughter, likes to try to keep up with her younger brother who has more money. So she literally put all the rest of the 20% into savings, said, I need to save, I got to catch up to Elias. So What we do as wealthy people is we leave legacy. We teach our kids how to save our money, how to invest. And in fact, I'm going to have money ready for my kids to start investing when they are old enough. So I think about 14, 15, I'm going to start teaching them how to invest. And instead of them getting a loan to go to college, I'm encouraging them saying, use that same money and buy a rental property. Do that. In fact, instead of you getting like, let's say $50,000 from daddy for college, no, I'm going to give you a loan of $50,000. You're going to pay me back because I'm going to teach you how to do the business. You're going to buy this property. You're going to make $250 or more every single month on this property. You're going to manage it. You're going to do everything, and you're going to learn the business. I'm giving you the ability to have a property. It's basically, instead of giving somebody a fish and they eat one time in that one day, I'm giving them the ability to fish over and over again. So I'm teaching them how to fish. And so when we're thinking of leaving a legacy, it's not just the physical assets, it's also non-tangible assets, like how to actually be wealthy, how to not raise spoiled brat kids, how to manage your assets, how to be wealthy and not just be rich and blow all of our money. Now, the way to actually grow your wealth is by working really hard or working to make money. You're making money, but then you save that money and then you buy assets with them. You buy things that actually generate income. Because what's interesting, your banker will tell you that your house, the one that you live in, is an asset. Well, in his bank account, it's an asset, or the bank's bank account, it's an asset because it brings money into their pocket every single month. But for us, our house, if we have a mortgage, it's not an asset. It's a liability because it takes money out of our pockets. Assets put money into our pockets and liabilities take money out of our pockets. So our home, even though it has equity, it's still a liability because it takes money out of our pocket until we start renting it out. Now, it's totally fine to have liabilities. You just need to have that understanding and that awareness. And other ways that you can start saving money or continue saving money for investing would be like eliminating things like that have a lot of debt that don't bring you joy. You want to get rid of that debt. Any fun things that you might think is fun, go ahead and keep doing those. But things that aren't necessary, like do you really need to watch TV all that much? Maybe you could just do over the air, or maybe just get one of the streaming services that is like $10 a month as opposed to $80 or $100 for cable. So there's many different ways. There's also, considering moving to a smaller home. I'll be completely honest. This is the first time I'm ever actually saying this. My wife and I are considering moving out of this house, selling it because we could pocket, $120,000 and getting an RV or a travel trailer and traveling all over the country in the travel trailer for like a year. And then when we're done, settle down and buy another house someplace else. That's what we're considering doing. We could also Airbnb it, which would be a great option too. We just have that, that thought because our house right now, as it sits, it's not making us money. Why don't we do something that makes us money? Also, you can pay off all your consumer debt, credit cards. Student loan is also a consumer debt because you're consuming that and you're having money coming out. Car payments, you want to knock out those debts as soon as possible. I have articles on how to do that. I personally love the snowball method, and watch or check in the description for how to do the snowball method. It's a fantastic way, in my opinion, the best way for you and me to get out of debt. And you can be wealthy. You don't have to just be rich. You can start investing in real estate. You can buy one property that makes you $250 or more a month. You can buy two properties, then a third, then a fourth, and they're all making you $250 or more. Remember, that's the baseline is $250. Imagine if you had 10 properties at $250. That would be $2,500 or $2,500 every single month in passive income. Would you think that would just be absolutely amazing if you could do that? That'd be $26,000 coming into your pocket a year as opposed to working a job. Remember, you're working one time, buying the house. We employ property managers. We have contractors. We have realtors. We have inspectors, plumbers, all that sort of stuff. They do all the work, and we've already accounted for those expenses. And that's the thing that I get to teach all my students, is showing them that it's absolutely possible to get started, even with, let's say, $10,000. So all of my coaching students, the bare minimum that you have to have if you want to be a coaching student of mine is $10,000. Anything below that, we have a lot of work to do. And I have a course that helps you to save money, to invest money, to cut expenses, to get rid of debt, and to increase the amount of savings. So I have that for you as well. So check the description for that as well. And that course is called Your First Investment to Financial Freedom. That's what we want, is eventually get financial freedom. And that's what wealth can bring. Now, I also have the ultimate real estate investing system that is going to show you how to do a step-by-step system in order to build up and get rental properties. But at the same time, I want to give you a smaller version of that for free. See, I sell the other one for $2,000 for the course, but this one I'm going to give you for free. It's going to walk you through how to find properties, how to manage properties, how to calculate the numbers, how to quit your job, and how to do everything right, and how to get funding for it. I want to give you that for free. In the description is a link. Go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. /free course. It's all one word. I'm going to give you that free course right away so that you can get started investing, because there's so much to learn. Even funding, like, it's not just get a mortgage broker and get a realtor and put them together and you have a business. No, it's not that. There's so many other ways. I have students using hard money, which means borrowing from somebody who is not a bank, and then borrowing from a family member and just getting a personal loan from them and putting it together and not having any money in the deal. It's just absolutely fantastic if you can do that. And so I want you to get started with investing in real estate, because it's by far the best way to build wealth and grow your legacy so that you can pass it down to your kids. Go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. So that was it with the rich versus wealthy. Hopefully you can see that you don't want to just be rich. Being rich is great, don't get me wrong, but you also want to be wealthy. Take that money that, if you're rich, if you're making $100,000, or even if you're making $50,000 a month, try to cut your expenses so you can save some money, at least 10% of that money. Put that money away so that you can invest it into a piece of rental property. Once you do that, you're going to be making money in passive income every single month. So, all right, guys are fantastic. I really appreciate you guys. Dustin Heiner here with Master Passive Income. Check the description below. Subscribe to this channel. I want to see you invest in real estate and change your life for good.